Okay, so I'm coming down to this final little piece. This is kind of a tricky piece, and I simplified it quite a bit because there's a lot of detail on here. This would be a good thing to take into, say, ZBrush, but I'm going to try to make it look kind of interesting right now. It's a bit too cookie cutter. So what I'm going to do, let's just isolate it, and I'm thinking, first thing, let's go in here and grab those faces and these ones. Oh, there's a few more. Double click, click, double click. Got it. So I got all the face loops. Okay, great. And then I'm going to invert the selection. So it's got all the outside faces there. I'm going to give them an extrude. I'm going to pull them out a bit. And I'm going to use a little bit of offset. Okay, hopefully it doesn't make anything funky. Sometimes it'll make, there's the odd little funky bit right there. I might, actually let's bring the offset back a bit. Sure. That's my way around it. Okay, so it looks maybe a bit more interesting. I could also, let's see, if I took this and I grew the selection, then I could invert it again. And maybe I'll grab my scale tool and I'll scale this in a bit because it's too wide. It still looks kind of funny. Okay, and then actually it's looking better. Let's back a bit. What if I went in and I used the edge ring and split, and then I went and I turned on the insert with edge flow, so that kind of rounds it out a bit. And then of course I've got that in a few places, so I've got to go and do that here. And I can even just go and put it in and then hit edit edge flow. It does the same thing. Edge ring and split, and do the same thing here. And then edit edge flow. I don't know, maybe that'll make it look a bit rounder. Great. And what does it look like? Looks better. Maybe it's a bit thick still. Just going to overall thin it down. And I can see these kind of weird bevel edges on here, so I'm just going to go into Mesh Display and Soften Edge. And it's better. Still not crazy about it, but whatever, I'll leave it for now. It's going to hit F and frame it. And I'm just going to grab these vertices along here because I want those to be flat. So I'm going to hold down J and flatten it. And see, do I want to put any bevels on this thing? I don't think so. I might want to go in and put in the odd bevel here and there. Maybe I'll just use the insert edge loop and I'll pop loops to kind of smooth things out and make them look a bit more organic without really making them look organic. Just, it goes in and it's doing a nice job of rounding out areas. Okay, we'll see. Here it looks kind of funky. Okay, and some of these things need to be smoothed out. I can kind of see funkiness here. I'm just wondering if I want to pause this or something just to see. Actually, that one was not necessary at all. Okay, let's pop in a few more and then I'll stop. There. Okay, great. I'm just looking and I see a few that are kind of overlapping and stuff, so I'm just going to go to the front view and I'm going to make an assumption that some of these vertices they're like those ones. They're the same on both sides. So if I hit 4, I'll see there's one on the other side, so I can bring this in and bring this back a little bit. And there's another one I saw that looked gnarly. There, and there. Great. Okay, stop tweaking. Constantly tweaking. I could tweak forever. Okay, I'm going to call it good enough. let's bring back everything and see how this kind of lines up with other things. This one here doesn't really line up with the rest of the pole here. So I did flatten it. Let's just go in and grab this action here, deselect, grab this action here, maybe up to here. I'm just going to go and turn on my soft selection. One other thing that's going on here when I have my soft selection on, a little trick, is, let's show you where it is. On the tool settings here, if I go into soft selection, I have it on surface as opposed to volume. Volume would grab this other piece down here, right? But if it's on surface, it just, based on the vertices that I have along the surface, so it only creeps up that way. Okay, so it gives you a bit more control. Here, I'm going to pull that in. I might pull that right to there. That looks kind of straight, like they're butted up against each other, like they're meant to be. And actually, there's one other thing back here. I did something funky right here. So if I grab these vertices, turn off the soft selection, grab the scale tool, hold down J. I just want to make kind of a flat surface right here, okay, that I can use kind of as a pedestal of sorts. And replacement for this little piece up in here. I remember, is there another one? There's this thing, that thing. Okay, great. See, that's centered. That thing is not. I'm just going to grab an edge on this and let's see, is that going to go through the whole thing? Come on. Edge ring split, and use the insert with edge flow. Grab those vertices on top, just trying to avoid things crashing. Also too, when I'm moving things and snapping them, there is a move snap setting. I've turned off retain component spacing so it snaps flat really quickly. And see this piece here, let's hit 4. I'm going to move the pivot point of this thing so it's right there, and then I'll hold down V and it's right there. Okay, great. Actually, this one here could use, feels too blocky. I'm wondering, how does that look when I hit 5? Looks too blocky. I almost want it more organic, but you know what? Just for kicks, let's give this thing all the edges, deselect the edges in the center. I'll just bevel it, and then I'll say that's good enough. That's what I intended it to look like. Maybe if I grab the vertices here. I could be looking at my reference a bit more, maybe. That might help, but whatever, I just did that, and I feel better about that. And anything else? Actually, if I hit 6, actually, this thing right here sticks to this. It looks like it's stuck on it, so I'm just going to go to the front view. And this thing here looks like it's supposed to be touching here, so I'm just going to quickly grab some vertices, get the move tool, soft select, and just kind of butt it up against this thing. Okay, so it's butted up against it, and it looks okay. And I'll just delete the history. I feel like I want to take these two pieces here and go mesh combine. Okay, and the pivot point, I'm just going to quickly move the pivot point so it's like D and X down here so I can rotate around afterwards. And that's going to make it really easy to snap the lamp to. And what else? I'm just going to take these pieces out of here because I'm going to probably just go in and copy this thing down to here, right? But I think it might make sense to just lay out the UVs first. There is other things I can do with this now. What are we at, 9-minute mark? Just before I could go in and set it all up, and I can go back into modeling here. And I just want to point out that I could grab all these pieces, delete the history, file, save scene as, just before I do anything crazy. Detailing, let's go and change this to number 5. Okay, great. I can go into the deformers and I can do things. Okay, so there's no nonlinear bend. And with the bend, the trick of the matter is to remember to hit T, and then you can bend things, right? So I can make things kind of cartoony potentially, right? Tune them out. And right now the pivot point of this tool is not in the center, so I'm just going to go to the move tool, and maybe I'll hold down X and snap it to the middle, and then when I hit T, it'll bend from the middle here. And this bottom one can kind of control it, so it only bends from one side. I can take the center of this, and I can just use the move tool, and I could get some kind of wacky results here. T, right? So I can kind of throw things off here if I wanted to. I could bend up this way. That's also one of the reasons I added in this extra geometry on this, so that I'll get a better bend in the middle. If I don't like it, I can just delete it. Okay, and another one I can do is if I go into Deform and I go to the lattice here, and I go to the lattice, I'm going to turn off local mode and I'll hit create. I typically always have no divisions to start off with, and I'll just go to the T division. It's like X, Y, Z here. So that's the Y division. And remember that you can go in here and grab lattice points, and maybe I'll do the scale tool. It's going to scale in an area, right? It's going to be kind of hard to tell on this. I can take this and scale it out, but it's making it kind of wonky and wacky. I can grab the move tool and pull these lattices over this way, but I can give it a little bit of style. Right, so it becomes kind of toony. Again, I probably want to finish all the UVs and stuff like that. And if you don't like it, you can kind of just play around with it and then take the lattice and delete it, and it goes back to normal. Or you can delete the history on it, and then it's locked in there. I think once I've gotten to this point here, it just makes sense to go in and lay out the UVs. So I'm going to stop the modeling process at this point, and I'm just going to do all the UVs. And then maybe I'll come back to the wonkiness of it, but I'm going to stop here.